Hi, everyone. This is Gina Doyle, product designer for Runner and Pipeline Insights, and I'm here today with Darren. Darren's the PM for Runner, and we'll be talking about our 15.9 milestone planning for the Runner group. I'll start with Runner Fleet, which is one of the categories within the Runner group, and I'll share my screen for this. So this milestone, we will be, again, just focusing on trying to improve the experience of managing a fleet of runners. And we focus mostly on the admin area, but this milestone, we get to focus on the group area. So we're very excited about that. One of the features that we've been asked a lot about is adding jobs to runner details for groups. So now when you view details of a runner, when you're in GitLab.com, you can see all of the jobs that it runs and get more information about the queue time for those jobs as well, and the duration, the status, and etc. So we're super excited about that. Another issue that we're going to be working on is improving the runner creation flow. And we're starting just with the admin area for this one. So this relates to a huge effort that the runner team has been working on in the back end to make our creation flow more secure and just improve like the efficiency of it in general. And so this issue is actually updating the UI to surface this. A lot of what we can do now will be in the UI rather than having to be prompted in the CLI for a lot of it. You still will have to go to the CLI, but we will be able to provide a lot more information about all the different methods that you can use to create a runner and the differences between executors and all of that stuff. So in relation to this, I'm going to skip over to just what we're working on in UX real quick because it's related. We're also going to work on those workflows for the group area, the group view, and for projects as well. So eventually we will catch all of those up. And another note is we will still support the old way to register runners. So don't worry, that's not going anywhere just yet. But we're going to be trying to gather feedback about this new creation workflow, this next milestone as well. So look out for that if you're watching and you want to leave comments. And then the last issue I wanted to point out was we're going to be changing everywhere that we use the word specific to talk about runners that are scoped to projects. We're going to be updating that to project because we have found that it's a better description of what project runners really are because they are scoped to projects. And we've heard a lot from customers about this as well. So we're excited about changing this. And we've been trying to do this kind of iteratively over time. And this is kind of just like the last bump to get there. That is it for Fleet. So I'll pass it over to Darren.
Hey, thanks a bunch, Gina. That looks super awesome, especially the group view stuff. A lot of customers on GitLab.com that are still that are managing their own runners have been asking about it. So that's really cool to see that. Hey, everyone. So I'm just going to briefly cover what's happening in the core side of things in the runner group. So the first thing I just want to call your attention to on this heading here called Next Runner Token Architecture. This is what Gina was referring to when she was describing the new runner registration workflows or creation workflows. And so we have a bunch of work here. You can see that's planned in terms of some backend work that's required both in the Rails side, and there's also some work in the runner core code base itself that's enabling that new runner creation workflow that Gina just talked about. So there's a bunch of efforts there on that. So it's not necessarily the consumable feature that you'll see in 59 will be the thing that Gina was pointing out earlier, which is, hey, if you're on the admin level, you'll be able to start creating runners and testing out the new workflows. So that's what's happening there. The other area of investment, and one that we have continued to invest heavily in the past, say several or so milestones for Runner Core, is just in focusing on burning down our backlog of bugs. And so you can see here, there's already a large list of bugs that we've got as candidates for 59. By the time we actually get into executing 59, this list will change because it's probably at this point a little bit over in terms of our capacity. But again, we're continuing to focus on burning down our legacy P2 bugs. And we're trying to get to a state where we are achieving our service level objectives for new, specifically S2 bugs as they come in, and so on. So this is kind of what you're seeing here, is that continued focus on bug burn down. Again, once we get into actual iteration execution next couple of days, this will be refined and we'll be paring it down to the actual bugs that we'll be able to fill into the release milestone based on our capacity. From a new features perspective, there is actually one specific and maybe significant new feature that I want to call out in the runner core code base that I'm really hopeful we can get shipped in 59. And this is, I'll click on it here. It's this idea in terms of using Kubernetes secrets, and let me open this up, instead of config map for storing variables. So right now in the run, if you're using the GitLab runner with the Kubernetes executor, which basically means you're able to run your GitLab CI jobs on a Kubernetes cluster. And what happens in that scenario is that each job runs in its own worker pod. So it's really a very super efficient way to run your GitLab CI jobs at scale, especially if those jobs can run in containerized environments on a Linux operating system. The TLDR is today, all of the variables that are passed from GitLab CI into the pod definition, those variables are stored in Kubernetes config maps. And I'm not going to go into a whole bit of detail into what config maps are. The TLDR and the short of it is that we want to move to using the Kubernetes secrets objects for storing those variables. And that will make things a lot more secure in terms of some of the variables that we pass in from GitLab CI into the pod definition. The thing to call out here is that those variables that you see in the pod definition, they're only visible to folks that, or users that have actual access to the Kubernetes cluster. So again, this is one interesting new feature we're working on to make things a bit more secure. But again, if you're using Kubernetes today to run your jobs, only those admins that have access to your cluster, only those folks that have the permissions to run kubectl commands on your cluster can actually see the information in the active runner Kubernetes worker pod. So I'm super hopeful that we can get this feature shipped. It will make our Kubernetes solution a lot more secure, a lot more, and kind of move things into the right path in terms of what we want to do in terms of moving away some structures from config maps. That's really, and yes, one more other thing I want to call it as well in terms of runner core. We are continuing working on the next runner auto-scaling architecture. So in 15.8, we're looking to ship the alpha version of the AWS, what we're calling the AWS Fleeting plugin. And in the next couple of days, I'll be posting a much more involved overview video. I can't get those words out for some reason today. In terms of what that next runner auto-scaling architecture is looking like, how you're going to be able to consume the new feature sets. The long story is, or the short of it, is that in 15.8, we're shipping the alpha version of the plugin, which will allow you to auto-scale runners on, not in Kubernetes, on virtual machine or EC2 instances on AWS, if that is your cloud provider of choice. And then the goal in 15.9 we'll be looking to potentially extend or to release the alpha for GCP or Google Cloud. So there's a whole lot of work planned in the next in 15.9, 15.10, 15.11 around us releasing iterations of the auto-scaling solution for various public cloud providers. So we're doing alphas on AWS, then on GCP, then we're going to beta, then we're doing it on Azure and so on. So keep looking out for that. So that's it. Kubernetes secrets and stuff configs map is the big thing that we hope to ship in terms of new features in the runner core code base. And of course, we're making a bunch of investments as I indicated in terms of bugs. Back to you, Gina, for wrap up. That's all I had.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any feedback, please feel free to reach out to Darren and I per usual. And thanks for watching.